Mr. Kony. Make no mistake, however, the number of victims represented in the present case is only a small proportion of those affected by the crimes charged against Mr. Kony. Madam President, Your Honours, victims are waiting for explanations, and this wait has gone on for far too long. Without an explanation, victims will not be able to overcome the tragic events that victimized them. Yet, forgetting is necessary for their recovery. But this forgetting is impossible as long as they do not understand why they, or their brother or sister, their son or daughter, their husband or wife, were abducted, forcibly recruited into the rank of the LRA, raped, tortured, murdered, why their properties were looted, burnt, why they were forced to live in the bush or in IDP camps. The sadness, the void left by those who have disappeared, the anger and fear of dying is so deeply ingrained in them that it still affects their life every day, preventing them from sleeping, working, participating in the lives of their community. In short, Your Honours, from rebuilding their life and moving forward. These emotional and psychological wounds are not just consequences of the crimes. They are the very markers of the trauma these victims experienced and continue to experience to this day. The families of the missing victims, for their part, are unable to mourn until they receive an explanation about the fate of their loved ones and the reasons for their suffering. Our clients' healing process requires recognition of the crimes they have suffered, judicial determination of the reason why they were victimized, and the punishment of those responsible for these abuses, including Mr. Kony. Madam President, Your Honours, some of the facts we will deal with over the coming days are not unknown to this court. As Mr. Ongwen, brigade commander of the LRA Senior Brigade, was convicted by this court for a total of 61 crimes, comprising crimes against humanity and war crimes committed in northern Uganda between the 1st of July 2002 and the 31st of December 2005. Indeed, a number of crimes and events described in the amended document containing the charges against Mr. Kony are the same as those charged against Mr. Kony, as the same as those for which Mr. Ongwen was convicted, and share an important number of similarities, including the temporal and geographical parameters. This is in particular the case for the charges in relation to the 4 attacks on IDP camps, namely in Pajule, Odek, Lukodi, and Abok. The same holds true in relation to the sexual and gender-based crimes and the war crimes of conscripting and enlisting children under 15 and their use to participate actively in hostilities. This being said, Madam President, Your Honours, it is important to recall that the charges brought against Joseph Kony go further than those for which Dominic Ongwen was found guilty. In addition to the charges common to both cases, The prosecution now charges Kony with inducing rape as a distinct offense, and it characterizes several gender-based crimes, namely rape, sexual slavery, forced marriage, and forced pregnancy as acts of direct perpetration by Kony himself. Furthermore, the charges extend to new incidents, including the attacks on Ruala Girls' School and on the Abia and Barlogno IDP camps, which were not part of the ongoing proceedings. As a result, some of the victims we represent participated in the ongoing case, which was predominantly focusing on the Acholi community, mostly leaving aside the Teso and the Longo communities. But the confirmation hearing in the present case is a unique opportunity to finally acknowledge the full extent of victimization in northern Uganda, taking into account not only the Acholi region, but the 4 regions affected by the crimes committed by the LRA under Kony's command, namely the Lango, Acholi, Teso, and West Nile regions. Madam President, Your Honours, although the victims deplore the absence of Mr. Kony and are fully aware that their fate is intrinsically linked to his arrest, they consider the prison proceedings to be of crucial importance. Indeed, although they understand the painful reality that without the arrest of Mr. Kony, their efforts may ultimately be in vain, they nevertheless regard this hearing as a meaningful step in the right direction and are eager to contribute genuinely to the pursuit of justice. They also believe that the confirmation of charges hearing will renew the commitment of states to locating Mr. Kony and ensuring his surrender to this court. Your Honours, the role of victims in the proceedings is not to bring charges against the suspect. This responsibility rests with the prosecution. Rather, victims participate because they can play a vital role in establishing the truth. They indeed shed light on facts in a distinct yet essential manner, contributing to the pursuit of judicial truth, which lies at the very heart of these proceedings. Through their accounts, the victims confirm that the crimes set forth in the amended document containing the charges were not isolated incidents of war or random acts of violence. Rather, they were the result of a deliberate campaign orchestrated at the highest level of the LRA, a campaign designed to terrorize civilians, to sustain the LRA's operation by force, and to shatter communities so completely that resistance would become unthinkable. Madam President, Your Honours, by sharing the harms they endured and the trauma they continue to suffer, victims do more than sharing their pain. They offer powerful, significant evidence that these crimes happened and that they left deep, lasting scars. The charges laid before you speak of murder, enslavement, abduction, sexual slavery, rape, cruel treatment, pillaging, and forced recruitment of children into the ranks of the LRA. Before my colleagues Paulina Masfida and Paul Bradfield provide a more in-depth analysis of the charges and their impact on the victims tomorrow, let me, Madam President, Your Honours, briefly attempt to give these charges a human dimension. It often began in the dead of night, the silence broken by gunfire, the screams of neighbors, the sudden terror that the LRA rebels had come. Victim A/4000/11 was only 12 when they came for her. I quote, "I was 12 years when I was abducted. 2 of my brothers were killed in my presence." That is how a childhood ends, with the loss of family and the forced march in the bush. Other victims were taken from places meant to protect them: schools, homes, churches. Victim A/20068/24 recalled, I quote, "I was taken from school. I was forced to cook, to carry loads, and later to live as the wife of a soldier. I had no choice." No choice, Madam President, Your Honours. Those words appear again and again in the account of the victims. They had no choice when they were forced to watch killings. They had no choice when they were made to kill. They had no